Welcome to Behind the Investigation on Atlanta News First. I'm investigative reporter Andy Parati. Joining me now is my colleague, Anastasia Almos, investigative reporter on the team. How you doing, Anastasia?
Great to be here talking about some of the amazing work that we've been doing here at Atlanta News First Investigates.
All right, one of your stories that recently published is kind of crazy. It involves scammers impersonating owners, homeowners, and tricking real estate agents. Tell us a little bit more about it.
You know, I'm going to actually go back there. They're not even really homeowners. They're property owners. This is vacant land, so there's no property on the land. It's just a lot, that people buy to, either invest in or for their future. And it's also what makes these types of scams so easy is because you don't have to have a key to get into the house to show it to potential buyers. You just list the land for sale, and hey, if they want to drive by, or maybe the real estate agent will walk them to the lot, it looks like it's for sale.
Just land. A lot of land.
It's a lot of land.
20.65 acres.
In Barnesville, Georgia.
I purchased the land in 1996.
While stationed at the former Fort Gillum, 31-year-old Army Sergeant Tracy Quintella Brown saw this land as her future.
My plan was once I retired that I would build my retirement home on this land.
Now about 1 year away from that dream,
I started to do the research to see what was in the area because I don't do much cooking.
While looking at restaurants near her vacant property, a Zillow ad popped up.
I don't know why or how because I didn't put it up for sale.
Her entire life's dream listed for $175,000.
The realtor company didn't give me any information at all.
Then she saw she had a voicemail, and when she called the man back,
he said something like, "We got a contract on your lot."
Her name was electronically signed on the contract. The contact number wasn't her phone, and whoever this was didn't even spell her name right in the email address. Veterans Day week, Brown drove down from Virginia to meet with Atlanta News First Investigates so we could figure out what was going on.
It's our pleasure to meet you.
We found Edward Turner, the man who left the voicemail. He lives next door to Brown's property and wanted to buy her land to build a pond for his son. To his surprise, the seller accepted $75,000 less than asking.
This is that night where they say congratulations.
Turner was just hours away from wire transferring $100,000 to who he thought was Brown when she returned his call.
Had I not received that call, we wouldn't have known that it was fraud until possibly weeks later.
But it isn't just Brown's property. Atlanta News First Investigates found several real estate agents across Lamar County who were seeing similar red flags with properties that they were listing for sale, like this one.
That is the fake driver's license.
Real estate agent Danny Turner says another realtor contacted him about a fake out-of-state driver's license from a seller, which prompted him to triple-check his listings.
The man that this guy was portraying was a friend of mine's uncle. And I called my friend, and he said, yeah, Uncle Gary's not selling his land.
Down the street, realtor Joseph Sims caught the same sham.
In Florida, your license number starts with your last initial.
This man's last name started with an M, but the number started with an O. Sims says he checked an online background database called Forewarn to verify the information, and when he called the number listed,
he says, that's my license that expired 4 years ago. That's not my picture.
Prior to September, we haven't had any real estate fraud cases ever. This is the first time.
The Lamar County Sheriff's Office confirmed they're investigating at least 7 fraudulent property listings from August through October, including a report from the county tax assessor's office stating someone filed fraudulent deeds on 4 vacant properties.
It could be the same person, could be multiple people. Don't know.
In at least 2 cases, the sham seller said they were traveling to London for a wedding, but investigators don't think they even live in the U.S.
A lot of the phone numbers don't originate from the United States.
I'm just grateful that we made contact in time.
Now it's back to planning her dream home.
About 7 acres forward is where I picture it.
And maybe a small pond for her new neighbor.
That's on the back side, maybe.
Stassi, I lost count the number of times I said holy cow to myself as I was watching your investigation. You also had a lot of interviews. Take us behind the curtain. How did you get all those interviews? How did you find out about all those other cases?
Investigating. Well, the very
Okay.
first email we got was from Tracy, who's just said, somebody's selling my land and, I can't figure out what's going on. And, I had reached back out and I'm like, well, prove to me it's your land. Right. And she's like, well, I've been paying taxes on it for 30 years. And, I was working on other stories, sending some emails. And then she followed up. She said, are you going to take on the story? And I was like, well, where are you? Can you do an interview? And she's like, I'm a veteran. I'm like, you're a veteran? Wait, so the land, and then she told me the story of her
Yeah.
being here and buying the land for
But
her
how did you
retirement.
find out about all the other cases?
Right. So I met her here when she came that Veterans Day week. She came down and we went and we found Edward Turner, who happened to be her neighbor. And when we interviewed him, he said, I've got friends next door who said this is happening to them. And, it was a very small town. So I was like, wait, what's going on here? So I got his contacts. I called Danny Turner, no relation there, but
Yeah.
he does have an office next door. Danny Turner, Joe Sims. And then they said, hey, my friend sent me this and my friend sent me this. So it was really just the small town talk investigating.
Wow. I mean, I've never heard about this. And anytime that I've never heard about an issue like this, it just really grabbed my attention. Great reporting there. There was you showed a lot of texting in between the alleged fraudsters and the landowners. Did anyone actually try to call? Has anyone ever even spoken to any of these people?
Danny Turner actually said something really interesting. That's one of the real estate agents. Is he said he did talk with this man on the phone, and he said he didn't ask a lot of questions because he sounded sick. He said he sounded like maybe he had a throat or a heart, something going on. So he didn't want to ask too many questions because he felt bad. So it was almost like maybe this person was, using a different type of voice and therefore making the real estate agent feel uncomfortable and maybe feel like, if you ask questions, too many questions, and they're a victim, and so yeah, they've actually tried talking to them. I think the main thing was these IDs. I mean, we go through ID after ID where you're seeing things don't match up, and simple Google search sometimes really does show more. So for instance, Googling Tracy, Edward Turner was able to find a list of numbers, and one of those was the real number.
That is,
so it's
seeing
almost
them
like
sit across from each other and the table was like a holy cow moment to me. I just was like, oh my gosh, you got them in the same room.
Oh yeah. And then,
that's-
the mention of the pond, it's like those little details that make these people so real. These are neighbors, in the future, like something he wants to build for his son is a small pond. And, Tracy wants to build her dream home on this land. She's worked
like,
so
"No pond."
hard. Yeah. So she's like, well, we'll think about a pond, because it's not in her original plan. She's got everything mapped out. She's been dreaming about this home for years. She actually works right now in cybersecurity up in Virginia. So it's like,
wow.
she's still working for this country. And so for something like this to happen to her, it's just like she said, she's glad that they connected the day that he was going to send that money. It's amazing.
I mean, the first thing that I think about is typically if it's too good to be true, it probably is a
Motto.
scam, especially when the guy came down in price so low. Other than sort of picking up on those cues, how do you prevent this from happening to you?
There's a number of things. Edward Turner, he's got such a good heart that he wrote this whole letter and sent it to this fraudster who he thought was Brown and said, my family and I have lived here our whole lives and we want to build this pond. So for him, when he came down in price, $75,000, he thought he really appealed
wow,
to
yeah.
the heart of this person
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
okay, you can have my land,
Yeah.
But of course, the scammer was like, oh, $100,000. Sounds good to me. So, if you look at the email and you see that her last name is spelt wrong, that's one huge red flag. Nobody's going to spell their last name wrong in their email. If you look at the contract paperwork, it's not all filled out. The main signature is there, but the rest of the information's not there. If you're selling land that's worth $200,000, you're going to put all the information. You're going to want to talk to the person themselves. I could not verify how the real estate company, the agent, met this seller. Did they look at the ID? Did they see the deed? Did they talk to them on the phone? Because they're not speaking to me. I can't get them to return my phone calls. It's a pretty big company here in Georgia, Coldwell Banker. And, we trust that they did their due diligence. But some of these steps really could have been taken here to avoid, possibly losing money.
Yeah, sometimes you need to do your own due diligence.
Yes.
Anastasia Almos, thank you so much. And
Of
to watch
course.
more of her fantastic in-depth investigations, go to AtlantaNewsFirst.com or anywhere where you get your podcasts.